Hey, I'm Eric Crawford. He's John Lewis. It's Monday, so it's time to talk NFL. And it was, again, a fun NFL weekend. A few more blowouts than we're used to in the league, but plenty to talk about if you're trying to keep track of local guys, John. Another big week one thing I liked, it started at 9:30 in the morning, which is probably good for church attendance here. But I love these London games because it's going right away, and they've been pretty good games and good atmosphere.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The atmosphere has been incredible. And then you look at what happened in London with the Giants, who have all of a sudden, like, there were a lot of questions about Daniel Jones and what, if any of that whole chemistry was going to work, and it's worked, and they beat the Packers. But yeah, those 9:30 kickoffs, I mean, you got, much to my wife's chagrin, you've got from about 9:30 a.m. to midnight, you've got good football games. And there have been some good ones. You did say there were some blowouts, and it's true. But, man, the parity in this league, and we talked about it last time, when we're starting to see all these games that are within a score or maybe even two in the fourth quarter. I mean, this, to me, the NFL right now, aside from a few teams, as it usually is at the bottom, this is a wide open league right now.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, we've got a couple of the teams that have done better in the league getting ready to pair off this week with the Eagles and the Cowboys. We'll talk about that later, and we'll also get to Lamar Jackson against Joe Burrow and the Bengals and Ravens. Another big game locally. Bailey Zappe from West Kentucky keeps rolling with the Patriots. But yeah, I think real quick, just to finish up the London thoughts, I think this is a smart thing. You know, we've always asked, why are they sending teams over there to play? Why are they doing this? You start to see these crowds. I mean, these are fans in England who are engaged. They know the game. Yep. They follow the teams. They follow the players. It's starting to catch, and one game here and there is a big deal. And it is. If you can just extend, the NFL's always pushing the schedule, whether it's pushing stuff in the summer or in the off season. And now they're pushing time of day. If they can take that 9 to 12 window, why not do it? Because that's just, you just dominate TV that day of the week for a little bit longer. So it's a pretty smart thing. But here domestically, the big game we were all looking at was the Sunday night game, which was fun because it's a team of local interest, Cincinnati Bengals, against the quarterback of local interest, Lamar Jackson. And it was a pretty good game. Those guys didn't play lights out, but still it was a fun game to watch.
It was a fun game, and another one of those where we saw the Ravens again. I think they had a 10-point lead in that one, and they end up blowing the lead, and then the Bengals blew the game. It looked like the old Bengals, just incredibly bad play calling. I don't mean to, these guys have coached a lot more football than I have, but when you're on the goal line like that with an opportunity to at least get three, and you run a Philly special that doesn't work, and then all of a sudden they thought that Joe Burrow was Patrick Mahomes and tried to get a shovel pass with 8 men in the box. I mean, you don't have to be a football genius to know that's not going to work. But Lamar, man, I was just thinking in the first half of that game, Eric, and maybe you had these same thoughts. Some of those passes that he was hitting, I thought to myself, man, he has taken that next level, because I really wondered if his ceiling, if he might have already hit it talent-wise as far as what he can do as in the passing game. We know what he can do in the running game. I mean, there's no close second to him. But I really thought that his passing game had taken a step up until that second half. And then he was just missing wide open receivers that would have put the game more than likely out of reach for the Bengals.
And that's kind of the focus. And that's the story with Lamar, is that everybody's going to focus on the passes that he missed. And that's understandable, because you saw the stat, whatever the stat metric is that NBC uses on that the long pass, the little run out that he missed,
right?
That was a touchdown, just walk in, and he overthrows it by 10 yards at least. That's a 65% completion pass. He's got to make that pass, but he made a lot of tough passes against a good defensive scheme for the Bengals. Both defenses played well in this game.
They did.
And he had to do a lot of different things. They weren't giving him any running lanes. He had to get rid of the ball very quickly, which he did. He repeatedly beat the blitz with the pass, which he has to do. He doesn't do that 2 years ago. So he's a lot different, lot more sophisticated passer now than he was. And he engineered the game-winning drive. Now, he did it mostly with his feet, but that's what he can do, and that's how he can beat you. And he does. He puts together a game-winning drive, and he gets credit for that. And, of course, it's easy. You just got to get it halfway close, and then this guy takes over. I mean, he's I just watch him. He's really something, and it's very rare that you have a guy like a kicker that you're like, you want to see him come in because he's going to do something, going to deliver, and Justin Tucker does.
Justin Tucker has always delivered. That guy is a Hall of Famer, and he might be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, he really is just incredible what he has done. And was there any doubt in that stadium that he was going to hit the long one and then hit the game winner? There was zero doubt, and that's for a reason. This was actually, you know, we talk about the battle of Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, but I think, you know, for a lot of us football nerds, it was like, this could come down to Justin Tucker and Evan McPherson, and that's what ended up happening.
Yeah, it did. And you know you're good when you're a kicker and you've been profiled by 60 Minutes. That's how good
right.
that they go out and do a story on him.
Yeah,
that's how different this guy is, because he's a really intelligent, interesting guy to listen to. Very articulate about his craft and all of that. But
and an incredible opera singer.
And like so many games, so they're playing for the field goal at the end. There's no thought of doing anything other than this, and that's a percentage, and it's a safe thing to do. And especially if you're Harbaugh after last week, you're gonna play the percentage a little bit better. I thought, I just thought, there were some tactical, interesting calls in this game. Mistakes were made, and but Ravens come away with a win. I think they needed worse than the Bengals needed this win, to be honest with you.
And the Bengals had a bad start, but you're right. I mean, there was a lot of I think that the Bengals they're not on track right now, I'd say, to an AFC championship, because, but I would say that it's kind of coming together now. They revamped that offensive line, and I think there are some pieces in there that aren't working the way they expected them to work. They've got to keep Joe Burrow upright. We've talked about that every week. But I think when that starts to come together, the Bengals have an opportunity here to make a run, especially in that division. Now, you're right with everything that's going on with the Ravens blowing those leads. They needed that. They needed the win more than the Bengals. Totally agree.
Yeah. There's no question to me about that. I don't worry about the Bengals because they have weapons. They got Jamar Chase. They put together a good team, and I really think, I'm not sure of it, but I think their offensive line struggles have been more toward just new guys coming together and matching than talent. But we'll see about that. I could be wrong about that. They may have an issue there.
No, you may be right, and I think they put a lot of money into that line. It's just got to come together. And this game last night, have to remember too, this would have been a different game with T. Higgins in there. He got injured. He'd been he had an ankle injury all week long, and never really performed last night and was benched. I mean, not for any reason other than it looked like that his ankle injury just kept bothering him. So that's a different weapon that Joe Burrow didn't have last night.
Yeah. And so good win for Lamar, but a win they had to have. They had a home losing streak. I mean, they had all of these reasons they needed to win this game badly. So if I'm the Bengals, I'm not that worried about this. Would have been a nice one to get. They had their opportunities. They didn't cash in, but should have good things down the road. We like to talk about the local guys here, and one of the local guys who did well on Sunday again was Bailey Zappe, his 1-year quarterback at Western Kentucky. And now he's the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots, and they rolled 29-0 over now it was the Detroit Lions, but he's playing well. I mean, his first NFL start.
Well, and you have to go back to 2001 with Chris Winkie, who was a quarterback who was a late round pick who made his debut, this late into the season and won the game. I mean, and what Bill Belichick, we've talked before, he's a guy who knows how to handle quarterbacks. He is 5-0 with quarterbacks who were drafted outside of the first round who won their first start. I mean, that's kind of a very arcane NFL research kind of stat, but I think it speaks to Bill Belichick with that plan, knows what to do with quarterbacks, how he can help them manage the game. His stat, he had a touchdown, he had an interception, but what he did with that, coupled with the defense. Now, you're right, it was the Detroit Lions, but the Detroit Lions are one of the highest scoring teams in the NFL. I mean, they lost the game last week to the Seattle Seahawks 48-45. But to see them, have that kind of shutout with the defense, and then for Bailey Zappe to do what he did in his first real NFL start, it almost feels like his second because he came in so early after Brian Hoyer was hurt last week. But and if anyone who's ever had an opportunity to talk to Bailey Zappe, it is very easy to root for him. Not even if you're a WKU fan. He's just I've interviewed him 2 or 3 times when he was at WKU, just a unassuming, very talented quarterback. I mean, 3 times we're basically best friends now. So, but it's easy to root for him and what he is doing right now. I like that it's getting headlines, not just for the New England Patriots, but certainly for WKU.
Yeah, it is. And, he's got what you want. He's not a big guy,
No.
but he gets rid of the ball fast. He's accurate. He makes good decisions, and he's played in this high-powered, 5-wide offense his whole life.
Yeah.
So he's used to making those. He gets through those reads. He makes the right ones. He gets rid of it. So that's, if you don't have a big arm that can sling it 60 yards in the NFL, which is nice, that's the next best thing, to be able to manage it, move it, make quick decisions, keeps your receivers all involved. And again, we're talking about backup quarterbacks and how important they are in the NFL. And every week they're on full display. And Bailey Zappe is certainly a reason of that. I want to get just one more thing where we'll talk about just maybe the rest of the league and who's doing well, but we want to talk about backup quarterbacks.
Cooper Rush, absolutely.
Let's talk about Cooper Rush. I mean, the Cowboys, they haven't lost with him, and you're telling me they're going to take him out and put Dak Prescott in to go play the Philadelphia Eagles this coming week, which is going to be a great game. The Eagles are really good and playing extremely well. Very physical team. That's going to be a fun game.
It's Sunday night. Eagles, the last undefeated team in the league. And what Jalen Hurts has done, man, he has proven me wrong, because I didn't think that was going to work in Philadelphia. And what they have done offensively and defensively, like you said, really physical team. And you got to wonder if Jerry Jones, who really calls the shots here, Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy, they may say, Dak, you might need just maybe one more week to kind of get to 100%. But I have a feeling that if Dak isn't 100%, even if he's 99.9, Cooper Rush might get the start in this one.
Yeah. 99.96 he might get.
Right.
I don't know. But yeah, Cowboys are kind of a little bit of a revelation here. They're just managing games well, and maybe the schedule. And some of the good teams that we expected to be really good haven't been great, and there's some reason for that. I mean, the Bucs have had big injuries. The Rams are very injured. The Rams are surprising to me that they've struggled the way they have, but they've had major injuries, so you have to figure they've got a run in them. Even the Bengals have struggled early from coming off of that the Super Bowl season, but those are all teams that I'm not necessarily worried about. I think they'll put it together at some point, and it's a long season, 17 games at this point. So it's going to be, this is still going to be fun. There's still going to be some teams that the best team in the league is going to change here and there as we go forward. Right now, though, Philadelphia looks to be it, and they're the only unbeaten, if I'm not mistaken. So
they are. They're the last unbeaten team, and it's not a fluke. We've seen them. It's not a fluke right now, and I think you're right. We're only a third of a way through the season, but I think you're right. We're going to start seeing where depth comes into play. Not even just with quarterbacks, but maybe a lot of the offensive linemen, and you got to keep these guys fresh here, and defensive linemen as well. But I think we're going to start seeing the cream rise to the top here as we get to the second third of the season.
Yeah, we should do it. We're going to keep taking a look at the NFL as we go forward every week. Thanks for joining us here. John and I are about to hit the road for some basketball now. ACC Basketball Media Day. I was late taping this, John, because I had to do my ACC Football Player of the Week vote,
right?
Which I forgot about because I was packing to go to this basketball and getting ready for this. So I may not, who knows where we'll wind up in Charlotte or in Knoxville by the time if I'm in charge of driving. So we will see you guys from Charlotte. We'll have more of this and do some more taking a look at basketball. But for this week from the NFL, for John, I'm Eric. Thanks for joining us.